Walsh here again for our weekly Chairman's Update. There's a lot going on. The legislative session in Olympia is in full throttle with bad and good things coming out of that process. But I want to step back and step above the day-to-day grind in Olympia for this update and focus on a bigger picture issue. This month, the WAGOP has launched our plan to reform immigration policy. Basically, it's a statement of principles that we as Republicans in the state of Washington have about how this state should interact with the federal government in setting up a coherent and lawful immigration policy in this state and this country. Immigration, of course, is primarily a federal responsibility. So most of the important decisions about immigration, legal immigration, illegal immigration, how to distinguish between the two, how to enforce immigration law, most of those decisions come out of D.C. They come out of the federal Congress and the U.S. Senate. Of course, the state of Washington does its part in implementing certain elements of immigration enforcement and the provision of state benefits and services to immigrants, both legal and not legal. But the big policy decisions are made out of D.C. What we, as Republicans in Washington state, say is that we recognize immigration makes the United States and the state of Washington strong, that immigration brings a vibrancy, a work ethic, and a fresh blood into the national discourse, our culture, and our society, both as a country and as a state. We support immigration, legal immigration. We believe there should be immigration law, as the U.S. Constitution says, and that immigration law should be enforced in a good faith manner. Right now, it's not. The current White House administration in D.C. is choosing to blur and confuse and undermine the lawful immigration policy of this country. That is a disaster. It overwhelms our benefit programs, both here in Washington state and at the federal level, and it creates a sense of lawlessness that we must not tolerate. Here in Washington, we support immigration as it supports our industries. On the east side of the state, we have a vibrant agricultural industry and communities that for generations have counted on immigrant labor, legal immigrant labor, to support its harvests. And that's a good thing. We want to see that continue. In fact, we as Washingtonians would like to see the federal government revive the Bracero guest worker program that for generations was an effective and legal way for migrant workers to come up to the United States, largely from South and Central America, and work legally here. We need to get back to that kind of program. Of course, some of our ag industry operators use the current H-2A immigrant visa program to attract agricultural workers here. But the H-2A program is a very rigid, heavily regulated system. We believe there's space for an alternative. The Bracero guest worker program used to be called a yellow card as opposed to a green card, was an effective alternative. We'd like to see a return to that. Most importantly, we have to get Olympia to move away from empty, sanctimonious virtue signaling when it passes into law ill thought out, poorly conceived policy that enables and encourages illegal immigration into this state and into the United States. We have to get away from bills that would go around federal immigration law, providing benefits and sometimes cash to people who have come to the United States and to the state of Washington illegally. That may be well-intentioned policy, but all it does is enable and encourage illegal behavior. Again, the Washington State Republican Party and common sense conservatives all around Washington support legal immigration. We want people to come here and work and contribute and make our state more vibrant. But we expect them to come here legally. We appreciate that people want to improve their lives. We all want to improve our lives. But we have to respect the law. If we're not a lawful society, we're not a civil society, we're not a peaceable society. We need to be lawful because lawlessness breeds more lawlessness. And we have too much of that right now. We'll continue to talk about immigration policy, mostly a federal issue, but in some cases, state implementation through the rest of this month. And I expect a vibrant and robust conversation toward the good goal of repairing and enforcing proper immigration law in the United States and in Washington State. That's it for right now. I'll talk to you again soon, but until then, stay strong and be well.